You were born on a hinge of history, the interplanetary dawn, when humans stopped being a one-world species. In a blink, our population ballooned. Our tools leapt ahead of imagination. Our comforts reset the definition of normal. And our sense of who we are stretched to include deserts of red dust and black skies with 2 moons. And if some future field archaeologist wants to know you, they might find the least flattering relic imaginable. A sun-bleached bottle cap wedged under a pine, a campsite receipt, a shard of your life with no caption. We like to think that's a puzzle for people living 12,000 years from now. But we're already wrestling with the same puzzle. Backward. We're trying to reconstruct a revolution that unfolded roughly 12 millennia ago. The past fades as we reverse through it. Today's world is recorded in crisp color, surround sound, and absurd detail. 3 generations back, and moving pictures lose their hues. Another generation, and the faces blur into sepia. Keep going, and paint takes over from pixels. Then parchment replaces paint. Then memory replaces parchment. A mere 20 generations before us, every line was copied by hand, mistakes breeding mistakes, voices getting smaller. The first person we'd call a historian lived around 100 generations ago. Before him are epics, boastful stones, itineraries of kings. 250 generations back, meaning peels away from the fragments. Farther still, and humanity is almost invisible, like footprints in wind-pressed sand. And yet, not entirely. We can still outline the arc. For about 2 million years, roughly 80,000 human generations, the rhythm of life barely changed. People were already people. Quick minds for patterns, social minds for one another, language to trade ideas that didn't yet exist. They made fire, shaped wood and stone and bone, told stories by firelight, grieved their dead. They gathered shellfish on rocky shores, stalked mammoths across frozen plains, and bartered obsidian for shells with neighbors they might never meet again. Some bands roamed widely. Others lingered where forests or tidal flats were generous. Different strategies, same species. Then, very slowly, a fuse began to burn. Not a single invention, but a stack of small ones. Tending wild stands of grain. Coming back to the same valley next season. A dog sleeping at the edge of the circle. Baskets that became bins. Pits that became granaries. Camps that hardened into hamlets. Clay learned to hold water and heat. Seeds learned to expect us. Goats learned to tolerate fences, and we learned to tolerate mornings. The pace quickened. Villages became networks. Networks became towns. Towns became the first experiments in crowds. Diets narrowed and surpluses widened. Along the way came new kinds of work, new kinds of inequality, new kinds of safety, new kinds of danger. The change that began as drift became surge, and then, suddenly, from the long view, standard. Back when this fuse was first lit, there may have been 1 million or so modern humans scattered across the planet. By the time the flame reached cities, there were orders of magnitude more. But numbers are only half the story. The other half is attention. A hunter's attention had mapped tracks, seasons, and stories across huge territories. A farmer's attention, mapped furrows, calendars, and neighbors. Minds didn't get better. They retuned to different problems. Same species, different daily puzzles. It's tempting to read that transformation as destiny. It wasn't. It was a braid of accidents. Climate wiggles, cleverness, tradition, stubbornness, luck. Many people stayed hunters and fishers and foragers for thousands of years after the first fields appeared, not because they were behind, but because their worlds worked. Even today, the revolution looks like a patchwork from above, uneven, reversible at the edges, human all the way down. What does any of this mean for us? The people balancing rocket plumes and retirement plans? Maybe this. History remembers what survives, not what mattered. Our descendants might misread us by what we leave behind. They'll find satellite husks and soda tabs, yes, but also seeds stored in vaults, libraries duplicated in light, fossils of our fears in the things we overbuilt, fossils of our hopes in the things we protected. If we're lucky, they'll catch enough to tell a true story in broad strokes. And as for the next great transition, well, we're living in it. We won't feel it as thunder, we'll feel it as Tuesdays. Habits taken for granted, tiny choices repeated, tools that quietly change what normal is. That's how a drift becomes a surge. That's how a surge from far enough away becomes a revolution. One small step, then another, then another.